Alexander III of Macedon, known to history as Alexander the Great, remains one of the most celebrated and enigmatic figures in history. Born in 356 BCE in Pella, the ancient capital of Macedonia, Alexander was the son of King Philip II and Queen Olympias. His upbringing, under the guidance of his father and the tutelage of the philosopher Aristotle, shaped him into a leader of extraordinary intellect, ambition, and charisma. By the time of his untimely death at age 32, Alexander had built an empire that stretched from Greece to Egypt and as far east as India, covering much of the known world at the time. His unparalleled military strategies, visionary leadership, and ambition for a unified world left an indelible mark on history. Alexander's early life prepared him for the monumental tasks that lay ahead. His father, King Philip II, was a brilliant strategist and military reformer who transformed Macedonia into a dominant force in the Greek world. Under Philip, Macedonia developed the phalanx, an innovative infantry formation that became the cornerstone of Alexander's military successes. Additionally, Philip instilled in Alexander a sense of discipline and the belief that the Macedonians were destined for greatness. Meanwhile, Olympias, Alexander's mother, nurtured his belief in his divine heritage. She claimed that Alexander was a descendant of Achilles, the legendary Greek hero, and even suggested that he was the son of Zeus. This belief in his divine origin profoundly influenced Alexander, fostering a sense of destiny that drove him throughout his life. From a young age, Alexander exhibited remarkable intelligence and courage. He tamed the untamable horse Bucephalus, which would later carry him into many battles. At age 13, he became a student of Aristotle, who instilled in him a love for philosophy, science, and literature. This education not only broadened his worldview, but also inspired his vision for a unified empire that blended Greek and non-Greek cultures. In 336 BCE, King Philip II was assassinated, and Alexander ascended the throne at just 20 years old. Despite his youth, he quickly consolidated power, quelling internal rebellions and asserting his authority over the Greek city-states. His decisive action against Thebes, which had revolted against Macedonian rule, sent a powerful message. After destroying the city and sparing only temples and the home of the poet Pindar, Alexander demonstrated both his ruthlessness and his respect for Greek culture. With Greece firmly under his control, Alexander turned his attention to his father's grand ambition, the invasion of the Persian Empire. At the time, Persia was the largest and most powerful empire in the world, stretching from Asia Minor to India. Philip had begun preparations for this campaign, but it was Alexander who would bring it to fruition. In 334 BCE, Alexander crossed the Hellespont, modern-day Dardanelles, into Asia Minor with an army of approximately 40,000 soldiers. His campaign began with a stunning victory at the Battle of the Granicus River, where his forces routed the Persian satraps. This victory opened the gates to Asia Minor and allowed Alexander to present himself as a liberator to the Greek cities under Persian control. The following year, Alexander faced King Darius III of Persia at the Battle of Issus. Despite being vastly outnumbered, Alexander's strategic brilliance secured a decisive victory. He personally led a cavalry charge that broke the Persian lines, forcing Darius to flee the battlefield. This victory not only bolstered Alexander's reputation, but also provided him with immense wealth and resources, as well as the symbolic prestige of capturing Darius's family. Continuing his campaign, Alexander turned southward, conquering the coastal cities of Phoenicia and securing critical ports for his navy. His siege of Tyre in 332 BCE, a heavily fortified island city, demonstrated his determination and ingenuity. After a 7-month siege, Alexander constructed a causeway to breach the city's defenses, showcasing his ability to adapt to complex military challenges. In 332 BCE, Alexander marched into Egypt, where he was welcomed as a liberator from Persian rule. The Egyptians, who resented Persian domination, proclaimed Alexander as their pharaoh. During his time in Egypt, Alexander visited the oracle of Zeus Ammon at Siwa Oasis, where he was reportedly declared the son of Zeus. This event further reinforced his belief in his divine mission. While in Egypt, Alexander founded the city of Alexandria, which would become a center of Hellenistic culture and learning. The city's strategic location at the mouth of the Nile and its blending of Greek and Egyptian elements embodied Alexander's vision of a unified empire that fused the best aspects of different cultures. In 331 BCE, Alexander resumed his campaign against Persia, culminating in the pivotal Battle of Gaugamela. Facing a massive Persian army, Alexander employed masterful tactics to secure a resounding victory. Darius III once again fled, and Alexander proclaimed himself the King of Asia. With Persia effectively defeated, Alexander entered the cities of Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, the heart of the Persian Empire. In a symbolic act, he burned the royal palace at Persepolis, possibly as retribution for the Persian destruction of Athens during the Greco-Persian Wars. This act marked the end of Persian dominance and the beginning of a new era under Alexander's rule. Alexander's ambitions knew no bounds. After consolidating his control over Persia, he turned his attention eastward, leading his army into the unknown territories of Central Asia. His campaigns in Bactria and Sogdiana, modern-day Afghanistan and Uzbekistan, were marked by fierce resistance from local tribes, but Alexander's perseverance and adaptability ultimately secured his dominance. In 327 BCE, Alexander crossed into the Indian subcontinent, where he faced King Porus at the Battle of the Hydaspes River. This battle was one of Alexander's most challenging, as Porus's forces included war elephants that terrified Alexander's men. However, through clever tactics, Alexander secured a hard-fought victory and treated Porus with respect, even reinstating him as a local ruler under Macedonian authority. Despite his success, Alexander's army, exhausted and yearning for home, refused to march further into India. Reluctantly, Alexander turned back, leading his men down the Indus River and eventually returning to Persia. Throughout his campaigns, Alexander pursued a vision of a unified empire that transcended cultural and ethnic boundaries. He encouraged marriages between his soldiers and local women, adopting Persian customs and clothing to integrate his rule with local traditions. This policy, known as fusion, aimed to create a sense of unity among the diverse peoples of his empire. However, Alexander's vision was not universally embraced. Many of his Macedonian soldiers resented his adoption of Persian practices, viewing it as a betrayal of their Greek identity. Tensions between Alexander and his men occasionally flared, but his charisma and leadership maintained their loyalty. In 323 BCE, at the height of his power, Alexander fell ill and died in Babylon at the age of 32. The exact cause of his death remains a mystery, with theories ranging from fever to poisoning. His death plunged his empire into chaos, as his generals, known as the Diadochi, fought for control in the wars of the successors. Without a clear heir, Alexander's empire was eventually divided into several Hellenistic kingdoms, including the Seleucid Empire, the Ptolemaic Kingdom in Egypt, and the Antigonid dynasty in Macedonia. While his empire did not endure, Alexander's conquests had a profound and lasting impact on the ancient world. Alexander the Great's legacy is one of unparalleled achievement and ambition. His military campaigns revolutionized warfare, and his empire facilitated the spread of Greek culture and ideas throughout the known world, ushering in the Hellenistic Age. His vision of cultural fusion, while not fully realized in his lifetime, influenced subsequent generations and shaped the development of civilizations across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. To his contemporaries, Alexander was both a hero and a godlike figure. To historians, he remains a complex character, embodying both the ideals of a visionary leader and the ruthlessness of a conqueror. Alexander's name endures as a symbol of ambition, greatness, and the indomitable human spirit, forever etched into the annals of history.